Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Dalton Brown here for Sports Map Elite for today's episode of Touch 'Em All for Thursday, July 28th. Joined as always by BC at BC_Houston1 on Twitter. And today we've got a special guest, Jo Madden. That's at Jo Madden Sports on Twitter. Jo, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to join you guys here today. I'm looking forward to talking this MLB card.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a shorter card today, so we can, kind of move it at whatever pace we feel we need to. But certainly excited to go through the games, get a new voice in here. I'm excited to hear what you've got to say. And I just before we dive in too deep, first I want to make sure that I plug Sports Map Elite. That's where BC and I both produce sports betting content. We've got a number of talented people over there that have put up some pretty good numbers through the baseball season. Looking forward to hopefully continuing that into the fall with football and eventually basketball. And then, Jo, I already mentioned your Twitter account at Jo Madden Sports. I see you're putting out a ton of content every day. Anything else you want to share or promote from there for us?
No, you guys can just check me out there, and then all social media platforms at Jo Madden Sports you can find me on. So a little bit of different stuff on all platforms, but all fun. That's for sure.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I think without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump through the games one by one for today. As usual, we'll go in rotation order. A couple of games have already started up today, a couple 12:35 Eastern starts, so we won't spend any time on those. So first game on the board is actually going to be 9:03 Philadelphia Phillies at 9:04 Pittsburgh Pirates. Phillies pretty big favorites here on the road, -195, over under 7.5. As our special guest, Jo, I'll let you go ahead and kick this one off with any notes you've got on this game.
Yeah, so this one, it feels like a trap to take the Phillies here. The Phillies are coming in off travel. They had those 3 games against the Braves. I'm not touching them. The only way I can take this game is to take the Pirates on the run line +1.5 at -105. Zach Thompson coming out for them. He has a 4.64 ERA on the season versus Zach Wheeler. And we know Zach Wheeler is good for the Philadelphia Phillies, but I don't think the Phillies have the production that people are expecting out of them here. I think the Pirates plus the points and a sprinkle on that run or on the money line is the way I'm going to go. It is +164 right now on that money line, and I love it. The last time these teams did face off was back in September of last season. The Pirates pulled off the complete upset, getting a 6-0 win. This is one of those games. I think they could pull it off again today, just with them coming off a day of rest and Philly off a hard travel spot.
BC, I think you've got yourself muted.
Hey, sorry, guys. I'm back. I apologize. I completely agree with Jo on this. I think this is 100% a trap game. How do you trust this Phillies offense right now? They are slumping so bad. The price tag of -210, it's just not indicative of what the production they've been doing, especially with Zach Wheeler on the mound. That being said, I do think that Zach Wheeler is going to give the Bucks a hard time today. They already bottom 5 in runs scored, 2-8 overall with a .560 on base percentage, or OPS, and hitting a collective average pretty close to the Mendoza line. They've also been striking out the 3rd most in baseball. You take a look at Wheeler's Savant page, it's reading all in red, which is good, of course. He's averaging over 6.5 strikeouts per 9, 1.04 WHIP. And the Bucks lineup, really only Brian Reynolds' career has had any type of success against Wheeler. I mean, he's easily one of the top 10 pitchers, in my opinion, in baseball right now. I think he's going to shove today against the Pirates. I like his K prop. I like his outs props. I think he's going to go. I think he goes 6 1/3 innings today. He's gone over 7 innings in 3 of his last 4. And then there's 7 innings pitched appearances were against the Cubs and the Cardinals. So when he plays teams that don't hit the ball very well, he tends to stay in for at least 7 innings, getting us our 21 outs, which is way over the line. It's currently set at 18.5. I think the one miss was, and Jo, I'm sure you remember this, is when he pitched against the Jays a few weeks ago and he got the hook after 4 1/3. They got after him pretty good on that. But I think it's going to be a completely different story today. The Pirates bullpen's also fully rested, so staying away from the Phillies. Love Wheeler today, though.
I like it.
Interesting. So game 1, I'm already on a little bit of an island here. It is what it is, I guess. I'm actually going to be on Philly in the first 5 innings, laying half a run. I am not so high on Zach Thompson, the starter for the Pirates today. I think he's actually due quite a bit of severe regression. I think we started to see that in his last start. His expected ERA is close to 5.5 on the season per Baseball Savant. I look at his last 3 starts, 8 walks over those 3 starts. Anytime you give up 7 runs to the Marlins in a start, it kind of raises my hackles a little bit. And then I look at Pittsburgh against Wheeler. You touched on some of this, BC. Pittsburgh 25th in baseball in WRC plus against righties in the month of July. I have some concern about their ability to really hit Wheeler at all. That being said, I do think Pittsburgh is the more rested bullpen, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Philly lead at the end of 5 and the plus 1.5 still come through. It really wouldn't surprise me just given the rest difference here, but just looking at Wheeler, and I mean, you touched on the fact that 3 out of 4 starts, 7 innings, 0 or 1 earned. He's been kind of special this year in the sense that he's put up a sub 2.5 ERA in each individual month of the season. So it's not very often you see a pitcher with that sort of consistency. So I like Philly to be leading at the end of 5 innings. I got that at minus 120 last night, now sitting at minus 135, I believe, across the market there. So not quite as much value available now, but that's kind of where I land. But yeah, I'm glad we're kind of all targeting different places there. That makes it a little more fun.
Yeah, there's a scenario where all of us can cash our bets on this particular game. So I love it.
Sounds good. All right, next game, we're going to head out west. We've got 9:05 LA Dodgers at 9:06 Colorado Rockies. Dodgers, as you may expect, a massive favorite over Colorado here, minus 210. Rockies plus 180. We've got an over-under of 12 in this classic Coors Field super high total. I am the big Dodger fan here, Joe. That's kind of my role. So I'll go ahead and dive in on this one first, if y'all don't mind. Looking at Tyler Anderson, he is having a pretty legitimate breakout season for the Dodgers. Top 20% in almost every Baseball Savant metric. Expected ERA on the season right about 3.04. He has allowed 5 runs in 10 innings at Coors this year, so not exactly dominating in that environment. He's pitched there a lot in his career and wasn't very good when he used to pitch for the Rockies. So could be something to that. He has pitched really well in July, 12 straight shutout innings entering this one. Just really hard to trust him at that elevation. And Colorado's had a tendency to hit lefties pretty well. Jose Urena is really hard for me to figure out. He's certainly due negative regression. His expected ERA is almost 5.5. Tons of walks, doesn't strike anybody out. But somehow has been avoiding the contact he's been getting, hitting him or hurting him. So hard to really know what to expect there. He's also walked 10 hitters in his last 4 starts. Dodgers now seeing him twice in a month. Dodgers are more than willing to be patient at the plate. They obviously hit righties well. They're second in against righties in July with a WRC plus of 136. That being said, LA's pen is really banged up. So if Tyler Anderson doesn't give them a good start, they don't necessarily have the horses they normally might to go to here. So I'm certainly not seeing any value in LA on the money line. If anything, I think Colorado on the run line is an interesting way to look at it, plus 1.5. Or if I was being dealt a Dodgers team total at like 5 or 5.5, I'd look at that. But I'm seeing 6.5. So no bets here for me, but those are kind of my notes. I'll go ahead and pass it on to whoever wants to jump in next.
What are you thinking, Joe? You got anything on the game?
Yeah, so no, this isn't a game that I have bet because we're looking at some of these teams coming in as huge favorites like the Dodgers are today, and they're not covering that run line. I know they've been solid over the season, going 28-19 on the road on the run line, but I can't trust them to get it done here. I think if there was any way I'd have to take this game would be to look at the total. We have a total of 12. I know it's Coors Field and everyone loves to take the overs there. I know the balls go flying there, but I don't see it coming in this one. I think this number is just slightly too high. If we would have had regression down from 11.5 to 11 instead of up to this 12, I would have felt a little bit more comfortable here with taking it. I'm not surprised it went over because I think the public really does think that all of these games just take the over at Coors Field. I have to take the under 12. I think we're going to see 10 or 11 run game in this one. I really don't think it hits 12.
I love that you are on the under. This is probably going to be one of my strongest plays today. I love under. I took it under 12, and I hit it again, actually. I missed the hook. The book, my primary book, actually opened at 12.5, and I missed the hook. So I hit it under 12. But Dodgers, Tyler Anderson, red hot right now, but the Mountains seem to cool off both pitchers. LA still 2-4 at Coors this season. Dalton already touched on Urea and starting LA. He's been hit hard since, but I think he's able to do enough to keep the LA bats at bay, at least earlier. Anderson had a rough outing at Coors, but he's showing that he can still shut down batters. And like we mentioned on the last show, Dalton, Dodgers weren't hitting a whole lot of home runs before Mookie rejoined the lineup. The Rockies aren't hitting a whole lot of home runs, period, even though they have the benefit of playing over in the mountains. Rockies bullpen has gotten their collective bullpen ERA to below 4.5, which is a massive improvement from the beginning of the season. But check this out. The total opened, and I missed it. I was really bad. But in the 9 heads-to-heads that the teams have faced, the total between these two teams has only exceeded 12 once, and it landed on 12 once. The differential in the rest of those games was -4 on average. So you got two divisional foes who know each other really well. One half of the pitching is elite. The other half of the pitching is shown they can shut down the other team regardless of how hot they are. It's an overblown number given the venue, 100%. Under 12, this can be one of my biggest plays today.
Like it.
Sounds good. Sounds like we got some agreement there. Awesome. So moving to the next one, we're staying out west. 907 Chicago Cubs at 908 ice cold San Francisco Giants. From Oracle Park tonight. Giants a small favorite, -140, over under 8 runs in this one. BC, I'll let you kick this one off. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, don't look now. The Cubbies are on a heater. They won 6 straight somehow, quietly. Giants have lost 7 straight, all on the road, though. The bullpen for the Giants is just taking a complete nosedive, and they're responsible for a lot of those losses, and to the point where one of their guys even got DFA'd. McGee got DFA'd, and he was terrible anyway. But their offense, according to rankings, is still somehow in the top 10. It's just not passing the eye test for me. Their starter, Alex Wood, has a home ERA of 3.95, and he's due for some positive regression. The Cubs are 3-8 in their past 11 versus lefties, so we should see him have some success. Justin Steele here is the wild card. This guy is impossible to get a beat on. He's got a road ERA of 5.23. He's just been all over the place. The mystery with him seems to be how many innings he's going to pitch. It just varies every single time. Unpredictable length in game, that nasty 5.23 versus an expected that's even worse. And the Giants have won all but one of their heads-up series, and their last 8 home games versus a starting lefty. I think you get actually pretty good value here with the Giants. The problem is they're just not a play-on team for me right now. If I had to do it, I'd take the Giants money line, but I'm not going anywhere near that $1.40.
Sounds good. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement on this one. We look at them at -140. I can't take them here after how bad they have been playing as of late. If this was around -116, it would feel like a trap to take the San Francisco Giants, but that's what I want this line to be at for me to jump on them today. I think the Cubs, yes, they've won their last, 6 in a row, but you look at who they just beat. It was the Pirates. Like, it's not the same, right? So I really do think the Giants win this. I wouldn't take them on that money line there. On the run line, they haven't been strong at home this season, going 18-30. So I can't jump there and get that positive money with them. But that's probably what happens. They probably win this by at least two games. Everyone then starts cheering. The Giants are back. We're going to see the Giants go on a hot streak again. So I think that's what happens. Am I putting my money there? No, I think there's better value on the board.
Sounds good. Yeah, I do have sort of a lean here. It's not something that I don't think I'm going to bet it, but I kind of lean toward the over at 8. I feel like it's a little bit of a low total given how terrible the Giants bullpen's been and how sort of Jekyll and Hyde, frankly, both of these starters have been. Both these teams actually hit lefties pretty well. The Giants are 4th in baseball in WRC plus in that split in the month of July. And the Cubbies are top half of the league. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both starters get hit a little bit early. I think the Giants have become a little bit more of an over team than they're traditionally thought of because their bullpen's been so poor. So 8 feels a little bit low to me. I might end up hitting that before the game. Right now, I'm not quite there yet, but that's the only way I can really look at this one. I agree in general. I think that the Giants right now are somewhat unplayable, but if I had to lean on a team to win, that's probably where I lean.
It's a shame, too, because any day of the week, I'd take that Giants number over the terrible Cubs. It's just where we are right now with both teams, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, so heading into the American League now, we've got 9-11 Kansas City Royals at 9-12 New York Yankees. Yankees, to everybody's surprise, a massive favorite over the Royals here, minus 240, over under 8.5. Interesting game here. I don't have any action on it. I've got some notes. Joe, I'll let you go ahead and kick this one off if you don't mind.
Yeah, this is one where I really look at the New York Yankees. They're coming off being swept by the Mets. I think this is a great time to take them, to have a very strong day here. I'm looking at their team total over 5 at minus 106. I think there is so much value here. Talion starting for them. He has a 3.93 ERA. We got Bradley Singer coming out for the Royals. He's got a 3.82. The difference here, though, is what these two teams can do with their offensive production. We've got the Yankees coming in here averaging 5.3 runs per game, while Kansas City's only averaging that 3.9 and allowing 5. I think easy over that team total for the Yankees, over that 5. I think they get 6 or 7 runs in this one today, especially off that sweep. They're going to be mad. They're going to be ready to come out and play, and they're going to take it out against the New York Yankees, against the Kansas City Royals. Now, with the New York Yankees on that run line, I don't know if I love it. We're getting minus 115 at minus 1.5. So there is a little bit of value there. I probably think they cover it, but I think that team total is the smarter bet.
Sounds good, DC.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Joe. That's the only action I have on this game. I love this bounce back. Forgive me while I pull up my notes. Now, forgive me, but did anyone see if Benintendi was going to be in the lineup today?
Didn't see if for sure he would be, but he'll be in the locker room, which will add a little bit for them.
You see, I was kind of hoping he'd put on the pinstripes. I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be really, really cool if they called him over from the other dugout, like they used to do back in the day. They're like, hey, throw on the other guy's jersey. That'd be super cool. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Joe. It's going to be a big bounce back. The Yankees were humiliated in the Subway Series. And Dalton and I talk all the time about how motivation is not really a factor to captain baseball. But Kansas City just lost their best outfielder and second or third best hitting. I kind of think that this is must-see TV if you had Benintendi wearing the stripes at home. Then you kind of throw a little bit of stats out of the window because everyone is kind of playing for a different thing. Now you've got a bunch of young guys that are getting their starts now because the Royals are obviously going to be tanking. They'll be sellers like they already have here next week. And the Yankees are just going to basically try and get back on the horse and shake off those bad losses. The only thing I can possibly count on, even though Singer has been good on the road, it really doesn't matter which righty you throw out there. The Yanks are going to get their runs. I like the Yankees team total over, and that's my only play on the game. However, the Yankees money line minus 240 would make a good parlay piece. So that's how I'm going with it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't mind Yankees team total over. I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. I actually like the first 5 over 4.5. It's another one that I'm sort of leaning on. Haven't decided if I'm actually going to pull the trigger on it or not. You look at Brady Singer. He actually faced the Yankees a good bit last year. Gave up 7 earned runs and 7 1/3 innings over 2 starts. So didn't have a lot of success against him. Obviously, the Yankees hit right-handers well, especially at home. You look at the last 6 starts for Brady Singer as well. He's been pitching pretty okay, but I look at the opponents: Tampa, Detroit, Cleveland, Detroit, Oakland, his last 6 starts. So heading into the Bronx to pitch today, that's a bit of a shock to the system. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Yankees get after him a little bit. I have some concerns over, Stanton being out, some of the injuries in the bullpen for the Yankees. They may not be quite the Death Star that they were for most of the first half right now, but they should be plenty good enough to score a little bit off Brady Singer here. I also think that Kansas City might score a little bit against Jamison Tyone. Tyone does a good job of avoiding walks, but you look at his season as it's gone along, he's kind of gotten worse every month. You look at his June ERA 4.59, July 6.63 so far. He's kind of seen the wheels come off a little bit as the season goes along. If I'm going to look at this game in any way, I'm probably going to look at it first 5 over 4.5. But I don't really mind a Yankees team total either. I think that's got a really good chance of coming through.
Yeah, I like it.
Like it.
All right. Next one, we've got Detroit Tigers 9-1-3 at 9-1-4 Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays massive favorites here, minus 225. The over steamed up overnight from 8.5 to 9.5. Joe, I'll let you go ahead and kick it off with your Blue Jays.
Okay, we look at my Blue Jays and they love to kill us in situations like this, in the games that they are supposed to win. Now, Kikuchi is coming out for them, and I've said it once, I said it before. Kikuchi can't pull a Kikuchi because he is either hot or he's not. He's got a 5.12 ERA. He should not have an ERA this high on the season. What I'm going to look at here is another team total, because we look at the Detroit Tigers, they just can't get the offensive production going either. So while I do think this is a higher scoring game, I think all of the runs are going to come in from Toronto, as long as they don't do what they did yesterday against St. Louis, which was get one earned run, which was just, it killed me. But I do think they get over the 5.5. Now it's plus 103. We're getting some plus money with that. I think the Blue Jays come out nice and strong. We've seen what they can do. You know, they either dominate or they don't get off the bus and show up at these games. They're at home in this one. They're off a loss. I think they get off the bus today. I think they eat up on Alexander, who is starting here for the Detroit Tigers. He's got a 4.05 ERA. I think they get over their team total.
Sounds good. Yeah, I actually have some pretty strong opinions on this game. Probably one of my favorite bets over the course of this week is the first 5 over 4.5 here that I hit last night. I think you're looking at 5 now on that number. I also hit over 8.5. Shared both those picks on ESPN 975 last night with Patrick Creighton. I love the starting pitching matchup here for an over. You look at Yusei Kikuchi. He is in the bottom 1% of starting pitchers in average exit velocity against, barrel percentage against, and hard hit percentage against. He's in the bottom 5% of starting pitchers in expected ERA, expected WOBA, expected slugging percentage, and walk percentage. Detroit is also top 5 in the league against left-handed pitchers in the month of July. So while we don't think of Detroit as an offense that is capable of scoring a whole lot, if there's ever a spot where they might, this is what it would look like to me.
Yeah.
I like Detroit's team total over 3.5. I think that number is ridiculous. I like Toronto's team total over 2. I like basically every over on the board in this game. Looking at the other side with Tyler Alexander, you look at his Baseball Savant page, it's almost as bad as Yusei Kikuchi's. The numbers for Alexander in terms of results have been pretty good. You know, ERA around 1.5 in July. But I think he's in a great position here to pick up some negative regression. I think Toronto gets after him. Neither one, like, I think that the Detroit's bullpen's been a little better of late, but neither one of these bullpens are, lights out by any means. I think we're going to get plenty of runs here. Just looking at the season-long expected ERAs for the two starters, Kikuchi 6.26, Alexander 4.85. So that over 8.5 last night was a crime. But I like the first 5 over even better.
Yeah, Joe, don't unfriend me. I'd still love to hang out, but I'm on the Tigers today.
It's okay. I don't take it personally when people bet against or for my teams. It's not personal.
It's all business, right?
All business.
So anyone who's watched Kikuchi or even one of his outings can figure out his issue. I mean, he's got pretty good stuff. Take a look at his velo. You take a look at his spin rate. All that stuff, he's above average. The problem is he's got just awful control. He looks like my 2-year-old trying to throw a baseball for the first time. It's not that bad, but she probably might not walk 14% of the batters she faces. And she probably get barreled up as much as he does at 16% of the time. And as Dalton mentioned, that's just terrible. That's just one of the worst in baseball. So you're walking guys left and right, so it's making you have to put pitches over the plate. So guys are going yard on you all the time. And that's exactly what those stats tell you. No other way around it. Tyler Alexander, he's the opposite as far as the walk rates go. Only at 5.2% on free passes. So that's much, much better if you're limiting your free passes to that. The barrels are a little better than you want at 8.5%. And the Blue Jays have come off a really fun series versus Boston. They scored 40 runs in 3 games. That was really cool to watch. Then they scored 10 runs versus St. Louis before coming out flat yesterday. And I was on that, unfortunately. But this is just super overvalued. Minus 230 price tag with Yusei Kikuchi on the mound. That's crazy. All Alexander has to do is keep the Tigers close before their bullpen, which is top 10, comes in. And it's just too much value to pass up. I like the Tigers in the first 5, and I'll go ahead and take them on the money line, or on the run line as well. Plus 1.5, and I believe you can get that for even money right now.
Alrighty, sounds good. We've got 3 more games to get to here. Next one is going to be the Cleveland Guardians and Boston Red Sox. That's 915, 916 on the betting board. Cleveland, a small favorite here on the road, minus 125. They're actually looking to complete a 4-game sweep in Boston as the Red Sox continue their spiral downward, if you will. Over under 9 runs here. I'll go ahead and kick this one off. I've got a pretty strong opinion here. I am going to be on the Cleveland Guardians in the first 5 innings. I got that at minus 112 last night. I still like it quite a bit at minus 120 today. Cutter Crawford's been fine. It's not necessarily a fade of him. His expected ERA is a little bit under 4. He's pitched to a 2.82 in July. He's been pretty okay. 6 innings, 3 earned his last 2 starts. So it's not that I necessarily don't think he's any good. It's more so just you've got to ride a hot hand when you've got one like Tristan McKenzie right now. This guy's been unbelievable. If he comes out and puts out a reasonably good start tonight, I got to imagine he'll win AL Pitcher of the Month for July. You're looking so far this month, 26.2 innings of work, 1 earned run. That's a 0.34 ERA for him in July. Boston is 25th against right-handed pitching in the month of July in WRC+. Cleveland sitting at 8th. So I think you've got the much hotter team in Cleveland here. The much hotter pitcher on the side with Tristan McKenzie. I know betting on a team to finish a 4-game sweep can be a little hairy, but I actually really like Cleveland here to be leading after 5 and to pick that up on the money line close to a pick 'em. I'm all over that. Joe, you want to go ahead and go next?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think this is a strong day for the Guardians here. We saw them win it yesterday, that 7-6. I'm looking at the total here, and I'm going to have to take it over. I really do think we see the runs coming in on this one. All the trends are completely screaming over, going 5-2 in the last 7 meetings to that over, 7-2 in the last 9 meetings in Boston. And the Guardians trending so solidly to that over, going 7-1-1 in their last 9 overall. And the Red Sox 8-2. And their last 10 overall to the over. I just look at what both teams are bringing, and there are very similar teams. The Guardians have the upper hand right now. As long as we can get Boston to hit off of McKenzie a little bit, we're going to go over in this one again.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a consensus on this. I love the Tristan McKenzie play on today. It's a great spot for him too. And this Red Sox team is just going down in flames. They've lost 11 of their last 13 since sweeping the Yankees back in the first week of July. And that stretch, they've struck out more than any other team in baseball. McKenzie's been dominant. He's only allowed 13 hits and 1 run in his last 21 innings pitched. And as Dalton said, Cutter Crawford's been good. He's gone 17 hit, 7 runs, and 22 innings pitched. But Boston just keeps finding ways to lose. They're just – the offense isn't there. The pitching's holding up all right, I guess, but they just find new and creative ways to blow games. Give me the Guardians. First 5 heavy, and then on the money line as well.
Sounds good. All right, we got 2 more to go through. 917 Seattle Mariners. Next one on the docket. That's going to be Jose Urquidy and Logan Gilbert going for Seattle. Over under 8.5 in this one. BC, what do you got on your Astros?
Do we have to talk about it?
I'm afraid we do.
Oh, man. So follow me now, guys. The Astros go on a 5-game win streak. They sweep the Mariners, who are on a 14-game win streak. Then they get swept by the A's, while the Mariners sweep the Rangers. So the AL West is drunk, and it needs to go home. I have no clue what's going on with this whole division right now. It's crazy. But the one thing I unfortunately have to do is fade Jose Urquidy and his 3.38 expected WOBA and expected 4.79 ERA. Mariners are back to being hot again. They won 9 of Logan Gilbert's last 11 starts, which includes a win against Urquidy in the first week of June. Mariners in the first 5 for the game. Also give me Urquidy's under 4.5 strikeouts in his last 7 going back versus the M's. He's only achieved that number once. And again, he's not coming in great form. And that's all I'd like to talk about on the subject, Dalton.
Sounds good, Joe.
I don't love this game here. I don't like the matchup at all. I think Houston probably comes out and wins it, but it's another one where the money line is just too high for me to take it straight up, and I don't like the run line here. I think Seattle has a fighting chance with Logan Gilbert, and I do like what I see out of him. This one is just completely a stay off for me just because I'm not finding the value there with the Houston Astros. I think it's a 1-run game all day long.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a game that I lean towards Seattle just based on the starting pitching matchup. Obviously, BC, you touched on Jose Urquidy's savant numbers being terrible, and the advanced stuff suggesting that he's due negative regression. But I mean, that's been the case with him for quite a while. And I've lost quite a bit of money this year on games where I've been fading Jose Urquidy, expecting that negative regression to hit him. And I'm kind of done losing money on that for a minute here. So I'm going to pass today, even though I think there's plenty of logic that leads to a bet on Seattle. You look at Logan Gilbert. He's pitched 19 innings against Houston this year, only allowed 5 earned. Urquidy was terrible in his first 3 starts against the Astros this year, like just awful, and then came out last Friday and dominated them. So I don't know if it's just that Houston kind of has Seattle's number coming out of the break and wants to make a point against them. Maybe wasn't as ready to play the A's. I don't know. But I mean, I think I can only look at Seattle, but I don't want to play this game. It's neither one of these teams, there's no stability right now, I don't feel like, without either one's playing. So that's kind of where I land. Okay, we've got one last game, and it's the Shohei Ohtani show from Anaheim, notedly not Los Angeles, where the Angels play. It's going to be the Texas Rangers and Anaheim Angels, 919-920. Joe, we've got a bit of a rule on the show, at least I do, that we don't refer to them as those Angels under any circumstances.
What do we refer them as?
They're the Anaheim Angels. That's where
they're just the Anaheim Angels.
Okay.
Okay. There's a passionate cause for him, Joseph.
It's a bit of a sticking point for me. I'm getting a petition signed, So
I'll roll with it. I'll definitely roll with it for sure.
Yeah, so Rangers and Angels are huge favorites with Ohtani on the bump against Spencer Howard, minus 225. We got an over-under of 7.5. Joe, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, I think Ohtani should be able to shut down the Texas Rangers today. I'm looking for a lower scoring game. I think the under 7.5, while everyone hates to take unders, it's the only way I can go with this game. I think Ohtani comes out, has a phenomenal game. Now, he has a 2.8 ERA on the season, going against Spencer Howard, who has an ERA over 7, but he's only pitched just 25 innings so far this season. I do think Ohtani just rules the roost here. I don't love that run line just because I like the under 7.5. I think this could be a 2-1 style game all day long. Look for the Angels to come out on top, but for the lower scoring under 7.5 to be the best play.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Angels are catching a little bit of lightning in a ball, a little bit. I mean, they've been putting up a little more runs than lately, but the real story is Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he is just mowing guys down. 37.9% K rate. Rangers, 9th or 10th highest strikeout. I think the number is even worse against righties. And you got Spencer Howard, who's a fill-in at best. He's a guy he's got good stuff. Another one of the many examples that we bring up every week, Dalton and I, of guys that just get rushed up to the bigs way too early, I think. Yeah, this is just going to be a dominant game left and right. But as I alluded to, and actually didn't allude, I said it outright, the AL West is completely drunk right now. So the only thing I feel comfortable with in this game is Shohei Ohtani at home, which is always going to be an automatic play for me. -0.5 run on the first 5. That's pretty juicy at -155. But, I mean, I believe that's going to cash 90% of the time. So that's my only play on this game.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a little bit of water on the Shohei Ohtani love. And it's nothing against him overall. I think obviously he's excellent. I'm not, telling anybody anything they don't know, but you look at his starts against Texas this year, 2 starts, he's allowed 8 earned and 9.2 innings. They've kind of gotten to him a bit. And obviously his last start against Atlanta was pretty ugly. He gave up 6 runs on the road in Atlanta. So, I think you guys are probably right. I think Shohei Ohtani, more often than not shoves in this spot, and I think that there's a pretty good chance that happens. But just given the juiciness of backing Ohtani here, I'm a little scared off just by some things. Him against Texas this year, his last start. I don't know. I'm probably being more cautious than I need to be with it. I do actually like the angle of the under. I hadn't given it a ton of thought, but I think it makes sense. Spencer Howard is not great, obviously. It's interesting though. He was one of the higher ranking prospects in the Phillies system. They called him up briefly, sent him to Texas in the Kyle Gibson deal. There's still some reason for hope for his career. I think, there's definitely talent there. And Anaheim doesn't hit righties well at all. They're 29th in the league in the month of July against right-handed pitching. So if there was ever a time that Spencer Howard is going to come out and have a good start, it'd be against Anaheim. So I definitely can see an argument for the under. That's probably the way I would look if I had to play this game.
Hey, let me throw one more item in there as well. Spencer Howard, just following up on some of the things that you were mentioning about him being, as we said, a high prospect that probably got thrown in the show a little too early. Take a look at his game logs. I mean, his last innings pitched, were 4 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 4 innings. If you take a look at his over-under outs allowed, I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, I am. He's only sitting at 14 and a half. So obviously that means he's going to make it into the past the second inning, correct? What do you guys think about that play?
You're saying over and under 14 and a half outs recorded?
14 and a half outs recorded. Yeah, it's a little juicy, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like he's been going somewhere between 4 and 5 innings, and 14 outs would be 4 2/3. So I don't know. I mean, against the Angels, I'd be tempted to lead over with any righty.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm going to stay off that. For sure.
Sounds good. All right, so those are the games for today. Kind of a shorter slate, like we said. I think it's about 7 total games that we went over here. Quick run through the games that I like best, and then I'll let you guys go ahead and do the same, so we can all make sure we've got our best bets out there. I'm going to be on the Philadelphia Phillies minus the half run in the first 5 innings. That came in at minus 120 for me last night. I'm on first 5 innings and full game over in Detroit and Toronto, and I'm going to be on Cleveland in the first 5 innings minus 112. Joe, you want to go ahead and run through what your bets were on the show?
Yeah, so I think my favorite bets, I'll just go over those, would be the Pittsburgh Pirates on that run line at plus 1.5 at minus 105. And then the New York Yankees team total over 5 at minus 106. And then the Cleveland Guardians and the Boston Red Sox over 9. Those are my 3 top favorite plays of the day.
Awesome. Love them, Joe. For me, I am on the Dodgers and Rockies. Give me the game under 12 on the Royals and Yankees. I'm with Joe. I like the Yankees team total over. On the Mariners and Astros, give me the Mariners first 5 plus a half a run. And on the Guardians and Red Sox, I like the Guardians first 5 money line.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much for joining us this time, Joe. I'd love to have you do it sometime in the future as well if you're up for it. But certainly appreciate you taking the time. And remember, folks, go check her out on Twitter and on all social media platforms at Jo Madden Sports. She's putting out great content, sports-oriented and sports betting-oriented. I definitely highly recommend checking it out. Obviously, BC and I can both be found at SportsMap Elite. We'll be posting our picks there every day. We're here with this show every Tuesday and Thursday. But hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe.